Loudness is a Japanese heavy metal band formed in 1981 by guitarist Akira Takasaki and drummer Munetaka Higuchi. They were the first Japanese metal act signed to a major label in the United States. At the time, it was still a novel concept, as while heavy metal had been quite popular since the late 60s, the Japanese metal scene was almost entirely cover bands, with the areas near US military bases being frequent breeding grounds. While certainly influenced by other metal bands, Loudness wrote their own songs and helped create something more distinctly Japanese, often using Japanese images on their album artwork and singing in Japanese. Loudness subsequently released 26 studio albums and 9 live albums by 2014, and reached the Billboard Top 100 during their heyday, as well as charting on Oricon dozens of times. Despite numerous changes in its lineup, with Takasaki the sole constant member, the band continued their activities throughout the 1990s, finally reuniting the original lineup in 2000. The band was formed by guitarist Akira Takasaki, bassist Hiroyuki Tanaka and drummer Munetaka Higuchi, coming off the split-up of the rock band Lazy in Tokyo in February 1980. Despite the reduced presence of the heavy metal genre in the Japanese media at the time and the lack of a single to launch the album, the birthday eve and the concerts to support it were quite successful. The flashy shred guitar work of Takasaki and the solid musicianship of the other band members soon became a trademark of their performances in the studio and on stage. Finally, in 1985, through the management of Twisted Sister co-manager Joe Gerber, they signed an international record deal with Atco Records. Such an achievement was the first in Japanese music history for a heavy metal band. Their fifth album, The Max Norman, produced Thunder in the East, was recorded in the USA and was successful. It was their first American release and it peaked at number 74 in the Billboard album chart, relying much on the strength of the single Crazy Nights, whose video earned some rotation play on MTV. Their sixth album, Lightning Strikes, was once again produced by Max Norman and charted at number 64, receiving very good reviews and making Loudness a worldwide attraction. The album was released in Japan in a different version, under the name Shadows of War. Their success in the United States had pushed the group to write more commercial pop metal tunes, like the single Let It Go, which was quite different from what they had done in all their previous albums. Following this new and apparently chart-rewarding direction, the band lost some of their supportive Japanese fan base, which did not accept the homologation to the US glam metal sound. Their seventh album, Hurricane Eyes, was released in 1987 worldwide with English lyrics. A Japanese version was subsequently released only in Japan later in the year, with Neihara singing most of the lyrics in Japanese. The album was produced by the famous producer and sound engineer Eddie Kramer, who had worked with the likes of the Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix and Kiss. The song So Lonely, a reworked version of Aries' Lament from the 1984 album Disillusion, was instead produced by Andy Johns, another world-famous producer. This was the last Loudness album to enter the US Billboard 200 chart, where it remained for 4 weeks, peaking at number 190.